to Millennial Pagan Podcast. I'm Autumn Wolf.
And I'm Jera Stone, and with us in virtual studio today, we have our friend Sage. Hello, Sage.
Hi.
So first things first, how's everybody doing?
You had to start with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, we always kind of start with that.
So our constant listeners can tell that I am sick once again. It being a pandemic, yes, I do have the Rona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My whole house has COVID, and yeah. So hopefully our sound engineer will be able to get rid of my and noises.
Good samples right there. That was good.
The lovely sounds that come out of my mouth and nose right now.
Now let me get 3 more of those in a row, sounding like you're just falling down a well. Sorry,
I didn't know this was an ASMR podcast.
It's just the voice actor in me. That's all.
My goodness. No, too many years of both of us training for that shit.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
I like this.
Yay. Thank you.
This is fun.
I actually got my thank you card today. I checked my mail this morning and it was there.
Yay.
Nice.
Wipe down your sticker and button.
I was eating chips.
Oh, no. I sent them out before I was sick, so I don't know.
I'm hoping like the week in the mail, probably.
Right. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We will in a week or so, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, with all that being said, I am doing okay. For anybody who's too terribly worried, for me, it's just a really, really bad cold. That does not minimize people who are suffering in hospitals and it's not doing well. I still say definitely wear your mask, take precautions, people.
Yeah.
I did everything right. My roommate went to the doctor for a sinus infection, and 2 days later, she started feeling much worse, and then everybody in the house got sick. So that's our only assumption of how this happened. But with that being said, if you're sick, go to your doctor. If you're not sick, stay home.
Yeah.
You know what to do. If you're listening to us, you know what to do. We're not doctors.
Wash your hands, bruh.
Yeah,
wash your hands. Carry hand sanitizer.
I got to say, I'm actually doing pretty good.
Yay!
I am freaking elated. My chair turned blue. My ears turned blue, and Arizona did too. Yes.
And you're in North Carolina or South Carolina?
North Carolina, I don't want to talk about it.
I know.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, but I have been talking to some Far From Home that now also live in North Carolina and frequent my town a little bit. So, sucks we're in a pandemic, but maybe if we're ever not,
yes,
we can be in person.
Yes.
Are any of your kids around the same age as Paige?
Paige is right in the middle. Mine are 8 and 10.
Yay! Awesome.
Nice.
And I also have girls, so they can just be
yes. Very cool. Awesome.
litter buddies.
Yay.
It's a small world after all.
No, it's like crazy.
Yes, it is. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So, with that being said, well, Sage, you haven't really said how you were doing. I know you're school from home.
Yes, I'm school from home for my 2. I also have 2 nieces here doing school from home. And then I watch 2 that are too young for school. So I am pandemic Mary Poppins. And that's fine. I'm good at it. You know.
Hey, as long as you're doing it and you're feeling good doing it.
I just went on a huge couponing trip this weekend. Because I'm an extreme couponer. So
I actually lived with somebody who was an extreme couponer for a while, and yeah, there was times where I couldn't even see carpet.
I mean, I literally had to clean out all my pantries. Like my grandma's getting a box of groceries, my mother-in-law's getting a box, the girl in my circle is getting a box. Like I just
Oh wow.
Spread the love, you know.
That's good.
Especially when you're getting pasta for 9 cents. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to order my vitamins by Amazon because I realized this weekend I would have bought 3 or 4 different types of daily taking vitamins. And I went, oh shit, how am I supposed to get all these? And like, I looked for other options other than Amazon, and I couldn't get everything delivered except for from Amazon. So I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it stinks you weren't right here, because I'll be like, I'll throw them to your window.
Do you need some D? How about some C? You need more C in your life.
I can't throw the D. I'm sorry. I'm not built that way.
Oh.
Love it.
We killed Sound Guy T.
I'm sorry.
He's over there in quiet land dying.
I didn't mean to. It just came out of my mouth. I'm making it worse.
I'm not coughing, so we're good.
Oh.
Ways to not get invited back to a podcast.
Ways
no.
get invited back to this podcast.
Oh, I think that's the reason why we've had a couple of people back.
And I think my Nana's going to listen to this, so that'll be so fun.
Oh, hi, Sage's Nana. All right. So now that we've at least cracked ourselves up, how about we go ahead and allow Sage to tell us her coming of witch story? And we're just going to leave the whole subject of the podcast a mystery. If you haven't read the actual title, you're just wait 30 minutes.
We will figure it out. All right. Oh, I had this all written in my notebook, by the way. And I knew the path I wanted to take with it. But,
Gotcha.
Growing up, my family was very religious. My mom had a few different husbands. I didn't know my birth father until I was 24. So, as that being prefaced, I, when I was probably about 8 years old, started seeing things and experience. And I did when I was a younger child too. Like, I met my great-great-grandmother and everything, and a bunch of people died at once when I was probably 3 or 4. Ooh. That was when I experienced my first from beyond communication. And family being super religious. I went to therapy for a long time. And then when I was probably 11 or 12, I moved back in with my mom and my stepdad, and we went and we lived on this super haunted property. And they started seeing it too. So then people started believing me, and I started being babysat by my mom's good friend, who she had came to bless our house, like to cleanse our house. And she's Wiccan. So I got to, while I was there, look through all her books and play and all her stuff. And it was the best. And then, I was just like, okay, this is, I knew it wasn't exactly for me, but I was like, this is the path I'm going to start.
It's closer.
Yeah, this is the direction. I'm not a Baptist. Okay. And then one of my dad's good friends ended up getting into a fight with a family member and getting stabbed. And I did my first poppet spell. And as I closed my circle, when I was 12 years old, they got a phone call that he was going to be okay. So then my parents banned witchcraft from our house. Like, just hardcore. Nope. And let's not make this one mad. It just scared them. So then I ended up joining the Mormon church.
Ooh.
In which because my mom's first husband, she married when I was 18 months old. His family is LDS. So I spent a lot of time there because my brother is from her first husband. That is not my dad. It's complicated. I'm so sorry. But yeah.
Whose family isn't complicated though?
Hawks is pretty straightforward. There's a lot of them, but you know how everybody. I'm jealous. I had to draw him a map. I have to re-explain the map all the time, and we've been together for almost 6 years. Don't worry if you can't.
Yeah. There's no intention of keeping up. It's fine.
Yeah.
So then I left the church when I was 20, after I lost a child and was seeing my child all the time and being told that I was crazy. If you didn't have an abortion, it doesn't matter type of thing. Some garbage. That no. And so then I started exploring myself and my practice even more. I started practicing with a druid circle, and then so my mom is of Irish descent. And so I started practicing with a druid circle, and I was like, yeah, this, I can vibe with this. But then I was like, but what about this, 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 and this? And it was a really strict circle. And they're like, no, that is bad. We do not do that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go do what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I have just spent, I mean, that was probably 7 or 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I've spent, well, I guess 7 years ago. But
no, time's relative.
Time really is relative. And the past year has felt like 8. Mm-hmm. But, you know, and I didn't really, I would practice, I would explore which deities, which paths, and just kept it all very flowy and eclectic. Until last year, from January 1st, 2019 to January 2nd of 2020, I had 19 people.
Ooh. Oh. So this year did not make it much better.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you, my numbers still kind of high. Like somebody just in my family just passed away on Friday. So like I have a funeral to go to tomorrow. But my numbers are so much better this year. It's only like 5. So I'm going to take that as a blessing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But that is what got me, kind of jump-started me into ancestor practice a lot more. My brother died on January 3rd. And my brother has not left yet. Mm-hmm. He visits all the time. He likes to hide things where I can't reach them because I'm 4'11". He likes to lock me. He has locked me and my husband out of my house because I was kind of talking junk about him outside. And then I go inside and my deadbolt is locked. And there's no one in my house. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, there is. There's somebody in your house.
Yeah.
He took offense.
No, well, he was 9 years older than me, but like he definitely, I'm not going to say like that he never physically picked on me because he did. So like, I'm just honestly surprised. Like nobody has put tacks on my seat cushions yet.
Don't give him ideas.
It's the sibling rivalry.
Yes, and it stays. It transcends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'm sure he made fun of you for being short all the time.
Yes, and he wasn't that tall, though. So it was like, okay.
So you know it's him because it's a place that's like not where Hawk would put it. But
no, and I mean, he would never... He doesn't like to get things down for me, so he wouldn't put them up that high.
See, that's why you have like 5 stools.
I do. I actually just broke one. Like the Corona 15 done broke a stool. And I was like, okay.
No.
But yeah.
So now Sunshine actually has one that I can stand on, which is phenomenal. So I will say that.
I need a link.
I will see if I can get one for you.
Mm-hmm. You know, when me and my ex were both under 5'7", he's about 5'6". I'm 5'5". And so we had a top shelf of the kitchen stool, the ceiling stool, and then this is just too high stool. So we had 3 different stools at 3 different lengths hidden all around the house because of the different places. Like if you're going into the closet, I need a stool.
I'm a climber. Mm-hmm. I will get up on the counters. I don't care.
No, even when I was tiny, I always thought I was too heavy for that kind of stuff.
Oh, I mean, I'm always wearing socks. So like one day I'm probably definitely going to slip. And that's probably going to be how I leave this world. But it's fine. Hopefully I get the Cheetos I'm after or whatever.
Just get the socks with the little grippies on the bottom. That's all you got to do.
The crazy socks.
Yeah.
I actually have some different.
Anyway, nothing to do with ancestor worship or magic in general, but grippy socks are important for safety.
Mm-hmm. So with my birth family, my great-grandmother died literally 6 months before I took my ancestry DNA test, which didn't actually lead to finding my father. Me telling my mother's sisters that I took it led to one of my aunts being like, here's my class picture from 4th grade. I heard it was this guy. And I'm like, whoa, that's my face on an afro in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And a few months later, DNA test taken. that is it. So, and honestly, I have had these connections to certain places, to certain people, to certain things for years and never knew. So like the plantation that my ancestors were slaves on is literally 15 minutes from where I live now. And the magic store I go to, like it's called Magic on 70. It's like this cute little crystal and coffee shop. So if you guys ever come to North Carolina, go there. But the plantation house was moved from the plantation originally and put on the corner to where you can nearly see it from this coffee shop I've been going to, for a couple years. I don't want to say it's like, it was like a magnetic pull to the region, but that's definitely kind of what it was.
It's kind of like history bringing you back to your ancestral DNA.
Yes. And the biggest bit of irony is we've moved, but before we lived on some of Hawk's family land. And Hawk's great-great-grandfather was the Grand Wizard of the KKK. And they used to do their little bonfire parties. Like basically 2 houses down from where we lived. Like I've heard horrible rumors of horrible things happening there. And I've actually read all this in the 20s. This was in my notes, which president it was. It was the 20s or 30s. The federal government went and interviewed ex-slaves before they died. And I couldn't find any that I knew were my ancestors, but I did find some from the same area of Hillsborough. And they were basically terrorized by the Klan. Like slave owners weren't even allowed to decide. Like the Klan made all the decisions. So I think it's a perfect circle of him and I being together. And like, this is so weird, but like, I feel like when we have a baby, it's going to like close these open chapters, like these open generational wounds, like are just going to seal themselves.
Right. And heal a lot of the wounds and end some of the curses.
Yeah. And I mean, I know I've got plenty. I can't speak to his. I know what I think, but
right.
I live here, but you know, that's not my journey to take.
Personal question. Did you know that you were mixed before you learned who your biological father was?
Okay, so my grandparents raised me from 5 to 10, and my grandfather was high up in the police department in the region that we lived in. I don't want to say it because, you know.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
In a bigger city, higher crime city. So there was a lot of, it was the dirty little secret. When I found my father and I told him who he was, he told me he loves me, but he still doesn't believe in interracial marriage. So that is a big thing for me, you know, to work through and get over and make those decisions of. But I had an idea that I realized, because I have a cousin that's 6 weeks older than me, who we do look somewhat similar. And people used to always think we were twins. But I was literally always 4 shades darker than her. Like right now is the lightest I've ever been in my life, probably because COVID. I've just been holed up in my house for a year. And I noticed the differences between me and my cousins, and my family made up this story of like, oh, there's just native really, really far back. Like my mom is a ginger. She has red hair and green eyes and freckles. And I remember when I was 10 years old, I had like all these questions, like so many questions, because I learned where babies come from. So I need you to explain me some things, lady. And she hands me a picture of a man with blonde hair and blue eyes and tells me his name. So I look for this man on my own for 2 years, you know, at school on the computer, because like we had just gotten Google. Why not? And then I learned Punnett squares when I'm 12.
That don't work.
This is impossible, lady. It's like, you know, the why you lying meme. entirely. So then she waits 2 years and she was like, did you realize your daddy's black yet? And I was like, yeah, I think I did.
Very good.
And then my mom tried to say it was this one guy that was in prison. I met his children. Mm-hmm. I didn't meet him because he was in prison. Mm-hmm. And then he gets out of prison. I was actually told he was dead. Mm-hmm. But then he gets out of prison. And he was in prison when I was conceived. On Halloween of 92. So I'm going to ride with that. But, you know, like, if he was in prison when I was conceived, and then that's when I found that out maybe a year before I took my ancestry DNA test. So, mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of time of like, you know, before I started really delving into ancestry magic, where I was probably being pushed and like a little shove, because I am my father's only living child.
Wow.
Being conceived on Samhain night, probably. Like, the witch in me wants to dive into that and, like, dissect it. Like,
I know entirely too much, and I'm so willing to share.
No. But that does make sense that you are so connected to the spirit realm, because you were a spirit coming into the world while the veil was so thin. It just makes sense that you kept your eyes. Because I'm one of those that we're born with the eyes to see the spirits. And as we get older, we lose it. And so I always say it's like keeping your eyes, as opposed to having this magic ability that it's keeping it, not losing it or gaining it, to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say that it's not a surprise to hear that, and that you kept your eyes.
And the irony is, my parents had known each other a little bit. My father was friends with my uncle. That's a lot older than my mom. My father's a lot older than my mom. She had just turned 18. I was made on one time, and my parents have not seen each other since.
Wow.
It's a powerful night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sorry.
Yep.
I had to have a cocky moment. I will chill now. I'm done.
You're good.
But yeah, so then once once last year happened, I started delving in so much more. And I was already regularly practicing, regularly observing holidays. I already knew my patron goddess was Bridget, which in the past year, I have also found my connection with Isis. And me and Hades might be vibing a little bit. A girl in my circle is vibing really well with Hades. And she named her kitten Hades. And I met him yesterday. And he literally, like, he slept on my chest. So I was like, oh.
I always think it's a bad idea to name pets after gods, because they take on the gods.
But, I mean, Hades is pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I named all my pets after Harry Potter characters, and look at where I am with that now. So,
I've actually been doing a little bit more research into Hades. I actually started because one of my friends was going to be it was Tim's wife that was actually putting on a Greek gods photo shoot. Mm-hmm. And I was actually going to be Hades, and I made some things. I actually have something hanging. I know our listeners won't be able to see this, but I'll see about putting up a photo. But I made a Hades shield.
Nice.
So I've started thinking, you know, I want to interact with him a little bit more, see what he's got to say, because he's always been prevalent in my history. Mm-hmm. So it's actually kind of interesting that you bring him up too.
He's talking to you right now. Mm-hmm. Like, Jera, look at me. Look at me.
I will definitely.
I always felt that Hades and Loki are kindred spirits in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Hades, I don't feel like he had such a falling out and so much bullshit thrown on him by the other gods, but I feel like they still have a very kindred spirit relationship with where they are and what they do and how other gods interact with them.
Out of Greek gods, Hades really might have been the most well-behaved.
Right? He's like, I got a job to do. I just want to marry this pretty girl. she wants to marry me, and everybody doesn't want that.
Quite possibly the only Greek god that didn't cheat on his wife.
Yeah.
Or like rape everyone.
Or, yeah.
But do you really want to cheat on the destroyer of all?
That is true.
When your wife's name translates to the destroyer of all, you just are like, yes, ma'am.
That's actually, Persephone might be on my baby name list. So.
I do. Yeah, I've met a baby named Persephone.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky.
Yeah, she's adorable, and I haven't seen her parents. They're one of those friends that you see only at Pride, and you're like, I know you, and they're like, I know you, and then they come up and you chat for like 15, 20 minutes, and it's like, cool, I'll see you next year.
Our Pride got canceled like 5 years ago, and I was never allowed to go to any sort of festivals growing up because I was never allowed to go. I was never allowed to go anywhere. My parents were like,
Alana's was tiny as shit, but we still had it.
Yeah, I was looking it up, and I was trying to find witch camps here, and I couldn't find any. So me and Hawk have actually talked about in the future, once we can establish a good circle and a good coven, which, you know, it's a practicing 3 of us now. One person that doesn't live in my house shows up regularly.
Yes.
I live in North Carolina.
Right.
There
is stuff going on in the South. I will give you that, because now that I'm not in the South, I hear more about it. Look up Dragon Hill Sanctuary. That's where I had my frozen Samhain.
Yeah, that sounded terrible.
The high was 19 degrees.
Absolutely not. No. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Like, my people came from Africa to North Carolina and never left anywhere. My grandmother's family came to North Carolina in the 1600s, because I have literally looked back that far.
Wow.
I am not made for cold weather.
My people
Absolutely
came from Deutschland and went to Pennsylvania, and then we stayed there, and then we broke off a little and floated everywhere. But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I stay in the 3 days a year it snows. I don't even go outside. Pop will be like, you need to come play with me and the kids. And I'll be like, I'm going to make some brownies. Bye. Have fun.
I love the cold. I'm always cold, so I know how to deal with cold. If I'm hot, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. I don't know what I'm doing with other people. And by the time I get hot, everyone else has already been hot. So I go, I'm hot. And I'm like, I literally don't know what to do. And they're like, yeah, no shit. And I'm like, but no. Like, my world is ending. And they're like, we've been hot for 2 hours. And like, they're drenched. And I'm just like, I'm hot.
I have worn a hoodie in August in Florida before. And the looks you get when you go in the grocery store like that are 100% priceless.
I still look at people weird when they wear hoodies when it's like 70 here. And like, I know it's nice, it's cool, it's not 100 and fucking oh my god. But I'm like,
it is
what?
70 degrees here today, and I'm like wearing layers. And
granted, I might be dying from a fever. Who knows?
I hope not.
Cute coughing. No, I actually haven't had a fever yet, so
That's
you
good.
can cut all that out. Anyway, how about we take a short break, because I need to blow my nose, and that's going to be attractive.
Millennial Pagan Podcast is exclusively supported by Patreon. Listeners like you can gain great benefits from your favorite show, such as...
At $1 a month, you get a personalized shout-out at the end of the next full-length episode.
At $5 a month, you receive a thank you card in the mail with a Millennial Pagan Podcast button and sticker enclosed. Additionally, $5 a month supporters have access to our monthly 30-minute minisodes.
Patreon supporters are also the first to learn about new and exciting updates to Millennial Pagan Podcast.
More benefits and exclusive content to come.
All right, and we are back again. We got Sage with us all the way from the beautiful state of North Carolina.
We do at least have like all the different regions.
Yeah,
we got beach, we got swamp, we got mountains, we got rolling hills,
and you actually have seasons.
Debatable.
Kinda. I mean, you have more than just 2 weeks of winter.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that shit can go away. Like, I'm good.
So we're kind of the subject for today's show is we're kind of talking about ancestry work, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I actually kind of have to reflect a little bit, because I did something this year that I actually haven't done in previous years. I actually celebrated Dia de los Muertos, and we actually had an ofrenda here, and it was quite a surreal experience, because it was Sunshine, her son Leo, and myself just kind of sitting there at the ofrenda as well, and having a snack or a meal with our ancestors and, our loved ones. And it was comforting. Mm-hmm. It was probably by far one of the most comforting experiences I've had, at least with ancestor, with my ancestry. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm loving that we're kind of talking about this now, because I've recently had a good experience with being able to connect with my ancestors. Mm-hmm. and especially my dad, who this last year was his 10th year in the other realm.
So Sage, what would you say if somebody was wanting to start and maybe had a similar place where you were, where they don't really know either what their background is or their actual family is? And like we've already talked about, you can get the DNA test. You can do the ancestry.com stuff. Say they did all that. Where do they go?
I would honestly suggest finding the right incense for you, or the right essential oil or whatever, and having I'm a water and fire, so I'm have a bath with candles and just be for as long as it takes you. Because somebody will come. Mm-hmm. Someone will come. And obviously protect yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't just be hey, someone come visit me. I would not do that. I don't want to say that's a bad idea. I don't want to say that's a bad idea, but please don't do that. If you want to do that though, I'm not going to stop you, but.
So open circle, get into trance and
meditate. Use your dreams. Do a dream spell. I love dream spells. Those are my favorite. Make a sachet or smoke some mugwort.
Or other hallucinogens that may now be legal in your state.
Ain't nothing legal in my state. So I know. Smoke some mugwort.
Well, we now have legal stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's why I post now. My background or my profile picture on Facebook is my Blunt Man cosplay.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 2021 or Blaze. Bust.
Now I'm gonna have to go watch all those movies later.
Or if you're in Oregon, you can mushroom it out.
I've been looking at the studies they've done with those for depression for years. It's insane. I've never done it. I don't know if it works or not, but if it does work, then oh, what? A plant? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had one experience with mushrooms where I wasn't even the one who took them. And my friend decided to take a whole handful of mushrooms. And I know he was not with us. So...
I remember that story.
Oh my God.
Oh.
He's so gone. Anyway.
But yes, mushrooms could also, if you live in Oregon, mm-hmm. specifically, I don't know, but other cultures have done that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or if peyote is legal and you can obtain it in ethically.
Ethically, yeah.
Yes.
Ethically, yeah.
Or other hallucinogens.
I grow my own sage, guys. It's not that hard. The plants are very resilient.
Yes. So, and you don't even need a hallucinogen to reach a proper trance state. You can be listening to drum music, yada, yada, yada.
Honestly,
joking.
They're great. Yeah. There are great playlists for it everywhere. But I would be careful with the YouTube ones, because I've literally gotten one that was supposed to be trance music, and then someone screams in the middle. So read your reviews first. Mm-hmm. Very important.
Or even listen to them before you enter trance state, so you know that that's the vibe you want. Anyway, Go into a trance state and say, I'm ready for somebody to come visit me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't quite say that. Okay. I would just leave. I would go in with an open heart and an open mind. Mm-hmm. Put your needs into the universe. And I mean, there is one ancestor I have not been able to connect with. I don't know why. I have hit a wall with this particular person, and it is my grandfather. And it's so close. Like, I have connected with so many other people in his family. I don't know what it is. And sometimes that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Sometimes there's going to be a block. They don't want to. They have just as complex emotions and feelings as we do. And you have to go in with that idea too. And you have to be really, really, really careful too. You don't want to, I'm going to say, I don't want to talk to my ancestors about all my problems all the time because there are some volatile people in the bunch. And I believe that they have the power to go do something if they want to. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to put some ideas in their heads just because you're mad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So get to know who you're talking to.
Get to know who you're talking to. Feel it out. Mm-hmm. And people do change once they cross that veil. Mm-hmm. It's not the exact same person you knew.
Right.
In my experience.
And remember, just because you knew your grandparent doesn't mean that you knew them, like,
exactly.
As an adult.
Everyone has skeletons in their closet. Everyone has things that they have to overcome and they have to do. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has secrets.
Yep.
And the journey to the other side can do shit to you. And to
it can do things for good or for worse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the biggest things, like I didn't have the pleasure of actually knowing my grandparents on either side of my family. They all passed away before I was born, but I've met them in separate times, and it's to learn. Number one, to learn about my parents, different things that they'd done that while they were growing up and they've seen me do. They're saying, yeah, you're definitely your father's child. But it's, I mean, I've said it once. I mean, it's comforting. It's a comfort too, but I never expected to actually meet them. That it was like the furthest thing from my mind because I didn't know them in life.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Was it, did they meet you in a subtle way, or were they just like right up in your face?
So my mom's side of the family, my mom's mother and father, it was very subtle. My dad's side of the family was in my face because they had actually passed away long before. My dad, for people who don't know, he was like 56 years old when I was born. So he was older. And so they always wanted to have a grandchild, but in life they never had one. So when I started coming into the ability and coming into actually focusing and actually saying, I want to be able to at least communicate with some ancestors, with my grandparents, my mom's side of the family was very distant, but my dad's side of the family was very, hey, you're our grandson. So it's always, and that the funny thing is that actually kind of intrigued me too, as to see why that dichotomy happened with the two sides of the family.
Yeah, I have the exact same experience actually though. My dad's family, well, my mom's family, most of them haven't came through, haven't came to me. I don't know if it's like a what I need thing, or the fact that I did meet up to my great-great-grandmother and I have found all these things. And I do believe that spirits will feel shame for some of the things they have done. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're not trying to come talk to their black descendant. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But with my dad's family, it has been very much like, are you really not going to put time in your chicken, or like, fry that a little bit longer? Like, seriously, the meme is true. Black people don't measure things. An ancestor taps on your shoulder and says, "That's enough, child." That really is. I learned how to make perfect gumbo without a recipe. I stood in my kitchen and was like, I'm just going to do this. And it is actually perfect. And I'm my own biggest critic.
It is actually perfect.
It is actually the perfect gumbo.
It's awesome what can be done when you actually allow that voice and allow the taps to actually come and guide you.
No, it really does feel like just a hand on your shoulder. And then it's just like somebody touching your shoulder and like, no, yes, stop, to the left, whatever.
You got cooking lessons from beyond.
Yeah, and I really needed them, quite frankly. Like, I cook so much better than I did when I first met Hawk. I literally made some absolutely horrible. And now, like, well, I've been trusted with Thanksgiving for a while, but like, I can cook. I've been for the past 5 years cooking 3 Thanksgiving dinners by my damn self, almost. I do half of Nana's. I do one for us. I was doing Hawk's grandparents because I took care of them until they passed away, which I think actually greatly helped me be able to connect with the other side.
Being a death doula, as they call it. I'm honestly thinking about maybe actually doing that. You know, if my kids ever actually go back to school.
It'll happen eventually.
I'm going to be really sad. It's going to be like kindergarten all over again, where I'm crying in a puddle and like having a panic attack. So we cannot. That's fine. Like, we only have 10 years left.
Right.
It's cool.
What? There are those options.
Right. You could always do that.
I know.
So,
those things. But
so after you start developing these relationships, what do you caution, or what would be the next steps? So you've met people, you know people's names, you've researched their lives.
I mean, yeah. And definitely, honestly, go with your own vibe with them. Don't go with what this person's telling you about them, or this person's beef with that person, or any of that. You use your vibe with them to make your connection. And like right now on my altar, which I choose not to share with people. Like, if you it's in my living room. So if you walk in my house, you can see it. But I also don't invite every person into my house.
Right.
Even if I invite you over, I mean, it's coronavirus, honey. You ain't coming in. Like, so I have this amazing incense burner. That's a mermaid. And then, like, the cones flow through her shell, and it flows. I have it flowing into a cup of stones on it. And then I have a Scentsy warmer. That's the Halloween one with the Book of Shadows and the spell book and all that. And I keep that on all the time. I have a vase that I put my incense ashes into to make black salt with. But then I also will put flowers in it, you know, if I have any that feel like it. Like, feel the right way. I have a cup of tea. I have pictures of my 3 closest ancestors, which would be my brother, my uncle, who died the same year as my brother, who was my birthday twin, and then my great-great-grandmother, who I never met, but we have the exact same face, and she visits me every day. They're on there. I have I have shells, I have water, incense for air. I use my Scentsy for fire because I have cats and children, so candles. Yep. I mean, I have insurance, but I don't want to use it. And it's on my, like, I have an electric fireplace, so I will turn it on. And I think fire respects that as a count for its elements.
Right.
I also have some LED candles. And then I will, if I'm baking something, put it on there. And what I choose to do with my offerings is either compost or my teas I put on plants, my water I put on plants. Like, I don't put anything on there that can't be disposed of in a way as a physical offering to the earth. And that's my biggest piece of advice too, is no waste, because most of our ancestors lived in a way of no waste. This world is the most wasteful. Like, from the 50s to now is so wasteful. And most of your ancestors lived in a time before that. And they are not going to look highly upon that.
Right.
In my personal experience, I don't know. Your ancestors might be like, woohoo, plastic, but probably not. That's what I'm saying.
Right. So when we were first talking, we were talking kind of a little bit about your practice isn't voodoo or hoodoo, but it's similar. So do we want to kind of talk about what is hoodoo and voodoo as far as what you know and why it's different?
So I am, by genetics, 20% Nigerian. Voodoo is a West African religion practiced heavily in Nigeria, where you have, there's different voodoo gods, which I have seen, I have heard of. I have received blessings from voodoo priests, but I do not practice voodoo. I cannot contend to how you do. Like, I know that they do have, you offer to this god, you offer to that god. I know Beyonce just did that thing on Disney Plus, which I'm in a lot of Black spiritual groups, and a lot of the other women in there do very much condone what Beyonce did in terms of honoring voodoo practice. I can't say if that's true or not, but other people that I kind of trust do. So, hoodoo is interlaced with Catholicism, and it is a closed practice. So, to my knowledge, you have to be invited into hoodoo. I have not been, so I'm not going to practice that. And I'm also not Catholic. I don't know very much about Catholicism. Actually, I know more than I lead on. Hawk was raised Catholic. I know plenty. But I don't know enough to try to bring my ancestors into a mix with this saint and this, and that kind of thing. I know there's a lot of using Psalms. I do know that is a thing, that Psalms is considered the spell book. If you live close to someone who reasonably practices hoodoo, most of the people I know who do are completely open to questions and to teaching if you come with an open heart. But I'm comfortable enough in my own practice and doing it my own way. I don't feel a need to do that. And I would also encourage, definitely gauge your audience before you go and ask someone anything about that, because it is such a closed practice. And honestly, it has such a bad rap. It really does. And it's not fair. I actually saw a picture of a book with from the, 1830s not long ago with how to use Christianity to control the Negro. And hoodoo was their way of blending this new religion they're being taught with their religion from home that's being passed down. And I respect voodoo immensely. I respect hoodoo immensely. I still honestly respect your neighborhood AME Zion Church, which still does so many of the things that come from Africa. And they really do. Go visit one. Go visit one on a baptism Sunday. That's all I'm going to say. And you're going to see so much. You're going to see so much. Because I think all practices have truth to them. You just have to find your own path and your own truth. Yeah. And I feel maybe it's evolution in a way. I have cousins that practice hoodoo. I have cousins that practice voodoo. It's just not quite my thing. And maybe it's because I'm mixed. Maybe it's because I feel such a connection to Bridget. Maybe it's because I'm so connected to Isis. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is because these holidays and traditions from the Gaelic way speak to me in the way that they do, that I feel the need to blend everything. Mm-hmm. But sorry, I feel like I definitely digressed a lot.
You're fine.
Oh.
From the point.
It's just interesting because I know Hoodoo has Mama Bridgie, and it is Bridget, and
yes,
it's that's how she blended in, and that she is such an archway between worlds and between traditions.
And she is my patron, which explains why I got 6 kids here.
Yes, and why your pot continues to boil.
Always.
Yep.
I'm telling you, no one can stretch $1 to feed some children like this one right here. Sorry, I know. This is what happens when I lose my notebook, guys. Okay?
That's fine.
You'll find it tomorrow. I guarantee it.
Probably. But I still have a bunch of coupons in there because I couldn't finish my coupon shopping because I had my list in that same notebook.
Uh-oh. Bet you it's in your car.
I looked in my car, and Hawk looked in my car, and then I looked in my car again, and Hawk looked in my car again. It's not. Well, it might be in my car tomorrow.
Telling you, you're going to find it tomorrow. You're going to message me and go, how did you do this? It's like my best friend, I was telling him something about, he was having a hard time sleeping. And I was like, well, how many times are you getting up to go to the bathroom? And he's like, I don't do that. And I'm like, what? And then the next morning he's like, you witch. I was like, what? And he's like, I had to wake up and go to the bathroom last night. And I'm like, welcome to 30. He's like, I'm 31. About time, bitch.
Do people not do that? I've been doing that for years.
I don't know. I have to get up like twice.
Yeah, this is my bedtime water bottle. Mm-hmm. I typically will fill it up before bed as I'm laying down, drink it to about here. Then I'll drink the rest of it before the morning. And I probably get up like 4 times. It's a problem. I should hide that from myself.
No, I have a stainless steel water bottle that I'll keep by my bed, and I'll wake up at least twice because I'm thirsty, and twice because I have to pee.
Yeah.
Yep.
You gotta hydrate.
Yeah, and if you wake up hot, the easiest way to cool down is drink.
That's why everyone says about my skin. Everyone always says I look like 15. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks I'm my children's sister or nanny. Mm-hmm. And it's just because I drink hella water, all of it, and I moisturize, and I wear sunscreen. Mm-hmm. And also, Black people need to wear sunscreen. Melanoma kills us a lot more often because we don't notice the weird spots on our skin. So wear sunscreen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everyone should wear sunscreen.
All the time.
Yes.
Sorry. I literally argue with people about that a lot.
I've heard it's a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so goddamn pale. If I don't wear sunscreen, I'm a lobster the next day. So, but
it's true. I've seen it.
Thank you. But yeah,
I had one sunburn. No, I mean, I had one. I used to look like a baby Flava Flav when I was a child. I will put pictures on it. I will put a picture on Instagram later. Just one.
One.
I mean, you can still get a sunburn no matter how dark you are.
Yeah, you can. Everybody can.
Yes, everyone can do that.
So what resources do you suggest that somebody trying to get into working with ancestors, using ancestor and magic or ancestor magic, should be reading, looking at, learning from?
Reading it's a tough list because everyone is going to say different things. Mm-hmm. But honestly, go to the internet. Find what speaks to you. There are a million Facebook groups for it. There are books everywhere. And I mean, I've read books on voodoo and hoodoo also, even though I'm not invited into the practice, just because I want to know things. and they're typically made, you know, by your average Joe that have less than 30 pages, but you learn a little bit about him. I have Kindle Unlimited, so I read constantly, all the time, lots of different things. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff on Pinterest.
Yeah.
But you have to take it with a grain of salt. But, you know, feel free to mix things up a little bit. Just because this person uses this herb and this candle and this part of the moon phase and needs some hair. I mean, you know, play with it. Make it yours. Make your own practice. But definitely Amazon actually has a lot of documentaries on voodoo and hoodoo. You're not going to find a lot on ancestry magic without that, unless you're looking into your own family or you know someone. But I mean, you can even look at just the ancient rituals of find out your DNA, find out the rituals your ancestors did. Archaeologists have found out so much stuff about so many different civilizations from 1,000, 2,000 years ago. Find what yours is. Practice like your people.
I mean, we live in such an interesting time right now where we have the ability to find out more about our ancestry than our ancestors did.
Yes. And they love it. They love it.
A lot of what I've been reading about the ancestors is that all of their work has led up to you. And now what are they doing? And nobody else is calling them. And I think we did a mini-sode about this specifically, in that they got nothing better to do. I disagree with that. I'm pretty sure they got other stuff to do, but they're not going to say no. Like when you call up your grandma, isn't she still excited to hear from you? So think of it that way, that these are these people who either didn't get the opportunity to meet you and want to, or that their lively stuff is done, but yours isn't. So they've been there, they've done that. They've been your age.
And they could have such good insight into something that you may be going through because they probably went through the same thing.
They can also see a lot, and they can hear a lot that you can't.
Yeah, that's like the new Hellboy with the clairvoyant, and she's just like, get down. Hellboy's like, why? And she's like, I'm saving you from glass. And it's like, she's not psychic in the way that she can see the future. It's like, no, they told her, hey, by the way, this is about to happen. So sit down, like, get down.
I'm going to say, like, this sounds so off topic, but it really is on topic, I swear. So me and Hawk watch MasterChef and bet on seasons. So we're watching our next season, and this girl is on there. This made me so mad. And she's like standing in front of people, and she's like, I'm the only person with a connection to the spirit world here, and the ancestors already told me I was going to win. Get out my face right now. Nope. So that's going to be another tip. Don't embarrass your ancestors. Do not do that. They will bite you in the ass. I promise.
Put a little bit more salt in there. It's fine. Just do that. No.
Excuse me. No, like for real. If you insult them, especially on a national TV show, no.
Yeah.
Your practice with your ancestors is your practice with your ancestors. You need to keep certain things private. And I'm open that I practice with them, but I'm not going to tell you absolutely everything my grandma tells me.
And in our generation's the first generation that's so open about all of this stuff. If you're talking your great grandmother, half of the stuff that we talk about more wouldn't have been public knowledge or public even thought to be talked about. It's just, no, that wasn't polite to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's going to insult them and embarrass them terribly.
And insulting your ancestors is some smoke you don't want, I promise.
No.
I've not personally felt this smoke, but I have seen it. I have seen it happen. I have seen people get bit in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do that.
They are powerful. They are just as powerful as when they were here, only they are held to possibly less stringent consequences.
Mm-hmm. Or the consequences don't make sense to them that much anymore.
They're different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yep.
If I go and break something, I might go to jail.
Right. Who's going to put a person on the other side in jail? Yeah.
Hades, but that's a maybe.
Yeah. You might laugh.
You might think it's hilarious.
That
cool.
was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. That was
fair.
Cool. Or, no. You really need to come back. You can't be on this. You're really fucking shit up for a little while. Like, let's put you away for a little while. Anyway, thank you to all of our listeners and everyone here. Thank you, Sage, for coming on.
Yes.
I have been extremely neglectful to a lot of our Patreon supporters. We have gotten a lot of support over the past few months, and I really appreciate all of you. As Sage just told me, you guys have gotten your gifts. That I've wiped out my supply, and now so we're just waiting on getting more stuff in and me not being COVID. So I want to thank Megan, Abby, Caitlin, Daniel, Marina, Katie, Francis, Tyler, and that's it.
Yay!
So thank you all of our Patreon supporters for all of your support and for being there with us right now in this hard time.
Yeah, especially right now. We know that, for a lot of people, these podcasts are a little bit of an escape from the monotony of staying home all day. Mm-hmm. But we just want to say, and we just want to remind you that we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys listening, and don't forget, it's not, we're not sitting here behind a microphone for our own benefit. This is, you guys are making this possible, and you guys are helping us be able to bring our world into yours and into other people's. Mm-hmm. So thank you, and we appreciate that.
Yep. So as a reminder, this is our last full-length episode of 2020, episode 50. What? Woo! Episode 50?
I know.
Oh my gosh. I'm scared. So we just talked before we started recording, and Sound Guide T informed me that apparently we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we didn't make enough bloopers to enjoy for our Patreon supporters. So we are going to do 2 different minis for December. We are going to do our normal December mini-sode, and then we're going to do a special Christmas or holiday present mini-sode to make up for not having bloopers. Mm-hmm. I still don't know how we managed that. I make weird noises with my face.
I can only do so much with weird noises, though.
Okay, all right.
That's true.
That makes sense. Anyway, so in 2021, I hope to come back with some amazing people I've been getting reached out to, especially since we are no longer tied to who can come into studio with us. So if you are an influencer in your area, if you have knowledge that you want to put out, Sage can attest. She reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to talk about this thing? And I said, yes, I do. And so we had our own little mini, me and her sit down on Zoom and get to know each other and became friends. And,
oh, yes.
And then we were like, yes, let's do this. So that is possible. I am open to that. If you're willing to sit down with me for about 30 minutes before your episode to talk about why you want to be on the show, what you want to talk about, what you need to tell the world. And I'm not saying like this is it shouldn't be an ego trip. When you're hearing me talk about this and inviting you on, if the goddess or your ancestors or somebody is tapping you on your shoulder and saying, you email me.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
Because
yes. I fought it for, I was like, no, she doesn't want to talk to me. And then it was just like constantly like, just just Facebook her. And I think I like Facebooked you at like 2 a.m. or something ridiculous. Like it was just dumb. And I was just like, okay, stop. I'll do it. Stop.
Well, see, and here's the thing, and I've said it before, you know, that this is a platform to get your world intertwined with other people's. And we have this wonderful thing called the internet that we are reaching through. We're reaching more and more people every single day from the comfort from our own homes.
So one of the things when I started this 3 years ago and grabbed Jera by the beard and went, podcast we must do. It was to make the different types of paganism understandable to everyone, accessible and mainstream. I wanted a platform where anybody can sit down and say, our generation is doing so much with neo-paganism or paganism or non-Christian religions that your story is valid. One, most important, that's why we do the coming of witch stories for every single person. Your story is valid. Your story, you're going to find somebody who has a similar story to you, yet still special. I'm sure plenty of listeners have heard the same things coming out of our guests' mouths. All of us nodding, going, yep, Catholicism. You're going to find similarities, but then they're going to say that one thing that jives with you that you thought you didn't hear from anybody else. So your story is valid. Your practice is valid. No matter how you're doing it your way is valid and correct. And there are others like you out there.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard a practice, a type of paganism, a sect on this podcast, something on this podcast that jives with you, that you can make a hour-long discussion with me and Jera about, email us at Millennial Pagan Podcast or millennialpaganpod@gmail.com. I will respond. We will figure something out. If you have music, a book, something that you know we haven't covered, message me. I am open and available. I have ran out of friends. Let's go. Time to make more friends.
Yes.
So, with all that said, Jera, where can they reach out to you?
Of course, there's always my Instagram, Hagrid_cosplay. I haven't really been posting too much on there recently just because there haven't been any conventions to go to. But hey, I got other things in the works. I'm starting to get back into my crafting, get back into my creative side. And it's really been coming out recently. And I'm so happy to be able to take this new step and into this new adventure to actually share it with the world. So definitely find me on there. And then of course on my Twitter at Jera Stone. It got a little political for the past couple of weeks. Don't worry, that's over. I'm glad that, and I just have to say this to anybody out there who is a first time voter. You know, there's a part of me that says, yes, I don't care which side you voted for. You made your voice heard. Thank you. Thank you for taking your responsibility and actually going out and making your voice heard, no matter what side of the coin, but you made your voice heard. And this is the biggest election there has ever been with the most people that have ever voted. So thank you.
So Sage, if people want to reach out to you, if they're in North Carolina and want to learn more or maybe even join your circle, if you're open to that, where can they message you?
There is sagemoonwhisper@gmail.com, and then on Instagram, sagemoonwhisper.
Yay.
I'm apparently the only one.
Hey. Yay.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And as you guys know, you can find me on WordPress at Iron Wolf Circle, and you can hit me up on Facebook and on Twitter at Autumn Wolf, and on Instagram at Millennial Pagan Podcast. And you can, of course, also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Millennial Pagan Podcast or Pagan Pod. I am planning this week during my quarantine to actually get the website going. There's no excuse. I'm quarantined with my IT guy. So we're going to get that done and taken care of. And we're actually looking into redoing the logo.
Yes.
So we have a graphic designer. I just have to give them money and go from there.
It's been 3 years. It's time for an update.
3 years.
I know. This is amazing. I honestly, I'm so number one, just because it is our 50th, I just want to say, again, big thank you to all of our supporters, but also Autumn, thank you for having this excellent idea. And it's definitely a goddess send. I will say that.
Well, she told me I need to do it. Mm-hmm. I'll say it all the time. She said, you need to talk more and what you're doing isn't enough. And so I'm not even doing my book club anymore. And she's not mad at that because we have this, and this is reaching so many people. I am looking into possibly having another podcast for 2021. Ooh. So yeah, me and Sound Guy T need to sit down and actually talk about that and do it. So, and I think it's something all of you guys have actually asked for. So.
Yeah, and I'm actually working on my own podcast. Actually, I'm working on 2 different ones. So I'm just like, what are we doing? They're just
Sound Guy T, talk about your podcasts. Where can we listen to you? Okay, fine.
I haven't started it yet.
Okay, all right.
It's still in the idea phase.
Oh.
Am I allowed to squee for a minute because I've been listening since episode 1 and I'm being on episode 50?
You've reached the half-century mark and it's you. That's awesome.
Yes.
You listened to the first episode when it aired?
I have listened to it the entire time.
Oh my god,
That's
I didn't
awesome.
know you existed.
I'm good at that. Ask all the kids I went to high school with. Just saying.
I thought people who started on episode 1 were just my friends.
No,
at that time.
I started on episode 1.
Nice.
Hi.
Well, that's Insta-friend right there, if you ask me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Me and Autumn were already friends.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
You just didn't know it yet.
Oh my goodness.
We knew it 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go.
2 seconds in, I was like, yeah, you're coming on the show. And she's just like, so what do you want to quiz me? I'm like, no, I don't need to quiz you.
She was like, yeah, no, you're fine. Because our first thing was some super innuendo.
In your endo.
Yes.
Yeah, beat me to it.
Of course.
And yeah, by the way, guys, if you can talk for an hour with me, you're probably going to end up on the show. Give me an original idea.
I have to laugh because you said that the goddess is the one who really wanted you to talk more, and I'm just like, more?
Okay, if you've listened to the horoscope episode, you guys know I'm a triple air sign, and the way that manifests is my mouth never stops.
That's true.
I'm sick as a dog, and I'm still on this podcast. Yesterday, Sound Guy T messages me. He's like, are we seriously going to podcast tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, my mouth still works. Sort of.
There were setups for tons of jokes, there, but I just opted not to.
Thank
because
you.
she's sick and I was going to be kind.
Thank you. Yeah, the brain doesn't work.
man.
The mouth does.
That doesn't help at all.
I know.
Anyway,
and on that note,
merry meet.
Merry part
and
merry meet again.